They say the heart of a neighborhood isn't in the houses, the manicured lawns, or even the people themselves. Sometimes it's in the roots, deep roots, buried in the ground, holding memories and secrets no one dares to touch. In Willow Creek, that heart was a century-old oak tree that stood tall in the middle of the cul-de-sac. Its massive branches stretched across the street like protective arms, its trunk wider than a car. Kids climbed it, families picnicked under it, and generations had taken their Christmas photos in front of it. To most, it wasn't just a tree, it was history. But to the HOA president, Gloria Winslow, it was a liability standing in the way of property values. Gloria wasn't subtle about her disdain. She stood at the last HOA meeting, pearl necklace gleaming, pastel blazer pressed sharp, and declared, "This tree is dangerous. One strong storm, and it will crush a roof. It blocks sunlight, drops leaves, and lowers home appeal. For the good of Willow Creek, it has to go." The room went silent. Then voices rose in protest. "You can't just cut down a 100-year-old tree," shouted Tom Harris, a longtime resident who had grown up playing under its branches. "That tree's been here longer than any of us. It's part of this community." Gloria smirked. "Part of this community or not, it's time to move forward. Our homes are investments, not history museums." The neighbors erupted into heated arguments, some siding with preservation, others cowed by Gloria's authority. But no one expected what was about to unfold, that beneath the roots of that oak tree lay a buried neighborhood secret that could rip Willow Creek apart. By the next week, the tree war consumed Willow Creek. Yard signs appeared overnight. Save the oak versus safer streets, cut it down. Friendships fractured, neighbor turned against neighbor, and the HOA board weaponized bylaws like ammunition. Gloria posted notices, tree scheduled for removal, date October 14th, compliance mandatory. But the resistance only grew louder. Tom Harris led the preservationists, gathering signatures and calling local reporters. "This tree survived storms, floods, and even a tornado in '82, he said in interviews. "If we let a power-hungry HOA cut it down, what's next? Our gardens? Our freedom?" Tension hit a boiling point one Saturday morning when construction trucks arrived with chainsaws and safety cones. Dozens of neighbors rushed to the cul-de-sac, blocking the crew from approaching. Children held up homemade signs, "Don't kill our tree," while parents locked arms in front of the massive trunk. Gloria stormed out of her house, clipboard in hand, shouting, "You people are trespassing on HOA grounds. This is private property. Our rules say the common areas fall under board jurisdiction." But her voice was drowned out by chants. "Save the oak, save the oak." Police were eventually called, but even they hesitated. "Look, ma'am," one officer told Gloria quietly, "it's a tree. Cutting it down with half the neighborhood protesting is just asking for a riot." Defeated for the moment, Gloria slinked back, muttering threats of lawsuits and fines. But something about her determination unsettled people. Why was she so obsessed with removing the oak? It wasn't just about property values. That much was obvious. Then, one evening, as the standoff dragged into weeks, a boy named Ethan, Tom's 12-year-old son, made a discovery. While playing near the base of the tree, he noticed the earth was soft where the roots had been disturbed. He dug with his hands and pulled up an old metal box, rusted but still intact. When he pried it open, what lay inside would shock the entire neighborhood. Inside the box were old photographs, brittle papers, and a leather-bound journal.
What is going on?
Ethan ran home and showed his father, who immediately recognized some of the names in the documents. The journal belonged to none other than Harold Winslow, Gloria's late father, and the very man who had helped establish the Willow Creek HOA decades ago. The entries painted a picture no one expected. Back in the 1960s, before the neighborhood was built, Harold had secretly struck shady land deals. According to the journal, he buried documents and contracts near the oak tree to hide evidence of embezzled funds and fraudulent permits. Tom called a neighborhood meeting in his garage, carefully laying out the papers. The residents leaned in, jaws dropping as they pieced it together. The oak tree had been intentionally planted by Harold himself, not for beauty, but to guard the secret beneath its roots. "This explains everything," whispered Mrs. Delgado, the oldest resident on the block. Gloria isn't worried about property values. She's trying to erase her father's dirty legacy before someone finds it. The neighbors exchange
What
shocked
is going
glances.
on?
Suddenly, Gloria's crusade to cut the tree down made chilling sense. But what should they do? If they exposed the journal, it could prove corruption that had tainted the HOA from its very beginning. But it could also plunge the neighborhood into lawsuits, property disputes, and chaos. Meanwhile, word of the discovery spread like wildfire. Some residents wanted to keep it quiet, fearing home values would plummet. Others demanded full transparency, no matter the cost. The oak tree had become more than just a tree. It was a monument to buried lies. The tension erupted the next morning when Gloria herself barged into Tom's garage, her face pale and furious. She had heard whispers of the journal. "You don't know what you're meddling with," she hissed, grabbing for the box. But Tom held it away. "Is this why you wanted the tree gone, Gloria? To hide your father's crimes?" Her eyes flickered with something between guilt and rage. "That journal is private family business. Hand it over." The neighbors, gathered in the driveway, stood firm. For the first time, Gloria realized she was outnumbered. The battle over the oak tree reached its climax at the next HOA meeting. The community center was packed wall to wall, tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. Reporters had caught wind of the story, cameras flashing as residents crowded inside. Gloria sat at the head of the table, pearls trembling against her neck as Tom stood and addressed the room. He held up the journal, voice steady. "For weeks, we've fought over this oak tree. We thought it was just about leaves, branches, and property values, but it's more than that. This tree has been guarding a secret, one that proves Willow Creek was built on lies. We deserve the truth." He read aloud excerpts from Harold Winslow's entries, accounts of skimming funds, cutting safety corners, bribing inspectors. Gasps filled the room. Some neighbors shook their heads in disbelief. Others muttered angrily. Gloria tried to regain control. "These are old accusations, nothing more than ramblings from a man who's no longer here to defend himself. You can't drag my family name through the mud over ancient history." But Mrs. Delgado rose slowly from her chair, her voice quivering but firm. "Your father may be gone, Gloria, but his choices shaped this neighborhood, and your attempts to silence the truth prove you're no better." The room erupted in applause. Faced with overwhelming outrage, Gloria finally cracked. "Fine, you want the truth? Yes, my father planted that tree to bury his mistakes. I wanted it gone so none of you would ever find out. But maybe that tree's curse is real because now it's ruined everything." She stormed out, never to return as HOA president. Within weeks, she resigned in disgrace. As for the oak tree, the residents voted unanimously to preserve it, not just as a symbol of resilience, but as a reminder of their victory over corruption. The city even placed a historical marker beside it, the Willow Creek Oak, a community's stand for truth. Children continued to climb its branches, neighbors gathered under its shade, and every time the wind rustled through its leaves, the people of Willow Creek remembered that some roots run deeper than lies. Because in the end, the HOA tried to erase history, but the neighborhood stood together and saved it.